Now is a better time than ever to be working on having a robust and super healthy immune system. So what are some of the most powerful tools that we have available to us here? Well, an obvious one would be vitamin C, right? Now there's a lot of ways to take vitamin C. Most vitamin C products will have lots of sugar added to them. Those are probably not going to be the best approach, right? So we want to look at a liposomal vitamin C. You can, for example, get this from Live On Labs is the company that really pioneered that space. Of course, it tastes pretty bad. So, you know, I've always found historically that it's hard to stick to doing those regularly because the flavor is so harsh. I'm currently using the vitamin C, the liposomal vitamin C from Quicksilver Scientific, which tastes delicious. It tastes like an orange soda creamsicle kind of a thing. It's fantastic. So that, you know, you can do like 3 grams of vitamin C a day, something in that range, and really optimize your blood levels, serum levels of vitamin C. Of course, you could take it a step further and get IV vitamin C. Awesome. It's not in the budget for everybody, but it's a great option that's out there for a lot of people. But the liposomal vitamin C, a quick explanation, is when vitamin C is within these liposomes, it's absorbed much easier by your body. So just swishing it around in your mouth, you're going to get a really quick increase in your serum levels of vitamin C. And so when we're optimizing absorption, you're actually getting more out of what you're taking. Then, looking over at herbs, one of the greatest antiviral herbs is elderberry. You know, some people were kind of raising red flags at the start of COVID that elderberry could potentially contribute to a cytokine storm, which is basically what happens when coronavirus goes really wrong. This is not true. It's been completely disproven since, and that theory came out of a poor understanding of the different cytokines, these different interleukins and how they function. And unfortunately, a lot of people kind of jumped right on it without a complete understanding of how these things work. Going beyond that, reishi, astragalus, cordyceps, these are great herbs with serious antiviral potential and overall immune supporting potential. These herbs you're seeing huge use of right now in China, especially throughout the whole crisis. And so when we look at these, they have these long chain sugars called beta-glucans that are these real long sugars that are actually bitter in flavor. Especially you'll see this with reishi. They say the bitterer, the better. These are the active compounds in there that have these bitter flavors. And so they come into your body and they attach to your white blood cells and basically teach them how to do their job better. They help proliferate white blood cells, so you're able to make more white blood cells. They help with the genetic health of white blood cells. So there's some incredible stuff in these herbs. And these are tonic herbs. They're not just things you take to stimulate your immune system short term, but things that you're taking long term to build a really robust immune system that can take on just about anything. And so, you know, our favorites here, as I said, the mushrooms like reishi, chaga, cordyceps. Going outside the mushroom world, you see a lot of great stuff in the antiviral department from astragalus, one of the greatest antiviral herbs there is. And then another herb to look at is ashwagandha, because, well, 2 things. This is a very stressful time for just about everybody. Stress trashes your immune system, and ashwagandha is one of the greatest herbs for stress. So there's that. But there's also some very early stage research. I don't think it's even been peer reviewed yet, but it's interesting because they show that ashwagandha may stop the viral material from entering into human tissue, into human cells. So it's pretty cool. And of course, we have to wait and see what comes of that research and what follow-up research is done. But this is one of those things where the upside is potentially fantastic. The downside is really non-existent. The side effects, pretty much just beneficial side effects in terms of the, you know, help with hormone health, help with the adrenals, help with testosterone, help with stress, as we mentioned. I mean, the areas in which ashwagandha benefits the body, help with the thyroid, you know, that's another one, is just so diverse. So going beyond herbs, also glutathione. Glutathione is very supportive of the liver. It's a super antioxidant and very supportive of overall immune health. That's another one that you definitely want to make sure you're taking in liposomal form. And another case in which I would recommend going with a Quicksilver Scientific one, because it tastes about 1,000,000 times better than the Live On Labs one, which just tastes like absolute death. I really am grateful to Live On Labs for pioneering the liposomal space, but the fact is they taste so insane that nobody seems to be able to stick with it. The Quicksilver Scientific ones, they cost a little bit more, but they taste pretty mellow. So I'm just trying to figure out how to say about the flavor. The glutathione doesn't taste like properly delicious like the vitamin C does, but it doesn't taste nearly as bad as the Live On Labs version of the glutathione. Then, going out of the supplement and herb category a bit, let's talk about sleep. Make sure you're getting really high quality 7 to 9 hours a night sleep a night. That's one of the most powerful things in the world for your immune system. Jumping back into supplements for 1 second, vitamin D3 should be taking 5,000 IUs a day. Okay, I can't say that, not supposed to say that, because it goes far beyond the official government recommendation of 400 IUs. I take 5,000 IUs a day. If you do the same, you're going against government advice. You may be a bad person, but your immune system cells have vitamin D receptors on them. If you don't know your vitamin D levels, it's a good thing to find out if you're having some testing done. And get out in the sun, of course, that's great. And go watch our vitamin D video and learn more about this. But having healthy vitamin D levels is a huge player when it comes to having a healthy immune system. Then create heat shock proteins. You can do this multiple ways. You can do this by exercising, high intensity interval training. You can do this in a hot bath, or the way you're going to get the most impact is doing it in a sauna or an infrared sauna. So heat shock proteins help to inhibit viral replication and can disassemble viruses. Pretty amazing. One of the most interesting ones is heat shock protein 70. There's ample research showing that this can be easily made in infrared sauna, for example. So spending regular time in a sauna is great. If you're not able to do that, take hot baths regularly. They've shown even if you're just sitting in a hot bath for an hour from the waist down, that you're significantly increasing heat shock protein 70 levels in your system. So that's great. Another supplement to be aware of is molecular hydrogen. And this is not necessarily something that's going to have any kind of immune system enhancing preventive effects per se. However, as I briefly alluded to earlier, one of the things that can send things down a very sad and unfortunate path, very often leading to death with COVID, is what's called a cytokine storm. And there's very interesting support for the possibility of molecular hydrogen to stop this runaway inflammatory effect of a cytokine storm. If you guys want me to do some more stories about explaining cytokine storms, what's happening there, and how you can prevent that, let me know. Send it in the question box, and I'd be happy to explore that more with you. Oh, I was about to press stop, but I realized we should probably talk about what you should be avoiding. What are the things that are going to run down your immune system? Because if you're doing all this great immune supportive stuff, but then you're doing a bunch of stuff to weaken your immune system, it's kind of counterproductive. So avoid high glycemic foods, avoid sugar, fried foods. Again, make sure you're sleeping enough. People who are not getting enough rest, that's going to be wearing down your immune system. You can take all the herbs you want, but if you're sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night, your immune system is going to be absolute crap. Don't overtrain. Don't push yourself too hard. You want to be fit, right? That's very important. You don't want to be overweight. That's a huge risk factor here. You don't want to have diabetes, but you also don't want to overtrain and get yourself into a place where you're worn down and very vulnerable. And, the last would be don't stress. Good luck. It's a challenging time to try to do that, but at least do the things to modulate your stress response. Try to make time to meditate. Try to make time for a little bit of a conscious breathing practice. If you guys want to talk about more ways to incorporate that, let me know. Happy to go down that rabbit hole as well. Take things that are going to help with stress. Don't consider all an inside job. You can take things to help you with this. I'm not talking about taking prescription drugs, of course. Those are not probably very friendly. I'm talking about things like CBD, things like reishi mushroom, things like ashwagandha, things like holy basil that are going to have ancillary benefits to them and have this adaptogenic effect in the way that they help you and the way you respond to stress.